That would help if I added myself to the camera on YouTube. All right, here we go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Kenan, and I'm the creator and host of Wrestling is Awesome. If you love WWE, this is the place to be. Every Tuesday at 8:45 p.m. UK time, we go live right here on YouTube and TikTok to talk all things WWE. So we do weekly reviews of the shows, Raw and SmackDown. We do fantasy bookings, dream storylines, top 10 lists, and we do live reactions to every premium live event. But this is more than just wrestling talk. This is a community that we're trying to build, and it's built on passion, positivity, and support. We all love wrestling, everybody here, and we all wrestle with life too. And sometimes you need a place to share your thoughts, your feelings, and connect with people who get it. And that's what we're here to build. So jump in the comments during the live, share your takes, join the debates, be part of something a little bit bigger. But in case you missed the live, full shows are turned into a podcast, and they'll be available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. Any interaction I have with you guys here will be part of that podcast. Like I say, normally I'm joined with my colleagues from Wrestling is Awesome, but they're all on the injured list at the moment, so they've all been wiped out. I think WrestleMania was just too hard for some people to take, so it's just me on the show tonight. But you can also support the channel if you go to the link in my bio, and also if you're on YouTube, you go to the link in the description. We're an official WWE affiliate, so if you're purchasing any WWE merchandise, use that link and it's going to help support the show. That'd be awesome. And but yeah, for now, make sure you hit that follow, turn on notifications, subscribe, and like I say, join us every Tuesday for 8:45 live show, and I'll be dropping other TikTok videos and stuff throughout the week. I've been doing I did some unboxing of my live shows over the weekend, these slap belts from WWE, which are really quite cool, and I think they're going to be my slight new addiction. So they're mystery packs, and there's like 3 series now, I think. And yeah, so I did a competition over the weekend. One person will be picked from random, and I'm going to be doing that probably this evening after the show. And I'll announce it on the next. I'll announce it on another TikTok video who the winner is, and they'll get posted 5 packs of these. So hopefully they can win some nice belts. And I'll do occasional competitions. Like I say, this show doesn't make money, so it's only what I invest into it. So, but I will try and do some giveaways every now and then if we can get subscribers up and stuff like that. All right, so let's talk about WrestleMania, the biggest night in wrestling for WWE fans. And let's be honest, it was 2 different nights, very, very different nights. But luckily, I think it kind of balanced out a little bit. Night 1 was a shit show. It was really poor. But the matches, the matches weren't given enough time to breathe. The storylines just didn't mean anything coming into it. Something I mentioned on the show, that previously on PLEs, you used to be able to, if you're a casual wrestling fan, you could go from PLE to PLE and pick up the story and understand the good guys, the bad guys, and why they're fighting, because they did great intro packages. We got none of that on this WrestleMania. It was all very stale, too sports driven rather than entertainment driven, very TKO influenced. And obviously it's been mentioned numerous times the amount of adverts that we had. Over 6, I think it was 58 minutes of adverts on night 1, and then 61 minutes of the show was entrances, and we had about, I think it's 88 minutes of wrestling, which was 35% of the run time of the show, which is madness. We don't expect 90%, 95% of the show to be all wrestling, but previously those kind of statistics are around sort of either 70 to 80%. So it just fell off a cliff. But I think obviously that then set our expectations slightly differently for night 2, because we understood what we were in for. We understood the adverts. We understood that we were going to be watching more of Hulk Hogan than any other wrestler over a WrestleMania weekend, which was kind of crazy. But the matches really, I felt, delivered on night 2. And we'll go into that. But yeah, it left me on a high after the weekend, considering how low I was at the end of night 1. Especially when you're staying up for 4 hours to watch a show, you're like, oh, what the hell? But thank you very much for joining the chat. So let's, what have we got here? Matt, WrestleMania should go back to 1 night. I discussed this on Saturday night with Sam from Sam's on Wrestling. Again, if you're a big fan of WWE content, make sure you follow Sam on Sam's on Wrestling. There's 2 Sams, which is why it's Sam's on Wrestling. You have Elder Sam and Baby Sam. And Elder Sam, he's got like a photographic memory. He just remembers all sorts of stuff, and he actually does a test my knowledge for WWE about 3 times a week. He goes live, so make sure you check him out, ask him any questions. He will answer every single question that comes through, unless it's duplicated, and he'll let you know that. But yeah, sometimes he gets like 20, 30, 50 messages behind, because he will get to try and get to everybody before he has to end the live. So really great guy. But we spoke about that, and, you know, do we go back to one night and maybe take a 5-hour show and, you know, have sort of like 8 matches, strip it, you know, something like that. And I think that would work. But we know money, ticket sales is not going to go back to one night, because you can't get a WWE stadium which will fit 105, 110,000 people, where they can do that over 2 nights. And, well, the ticket prices we know were absolutely insane for this WrestleMania. So I don't think that's going away anytime soon. One good night of Mania, full of decent story, matches charged. Yeah, agreed. And it's... you have to buy into, one, you buy into the wrestlers, and 2, you buy into the story. So you're buying into the characters, those that you boo, those that you cheer, and the stories drive the match. We can, though, just have 2 people say, I think I'm better than you, let's fight, which was like Gunther and Seth. And that was one of the better matches, well, probably the best match on night 1. And it didn't need a lot of build, you know, so you do have to have a mixture. You can just have 2 wrestlers going right at it, but others, you want that story, you want that narrative. At the end of the day, this is like a soap opera. It is drama, it's excitement, it's entertainment, and that's what we're here for. So when the payoff doesn't come, or you prioritize advertising a Hulk Hogan documentary over the wrestling matches, it becomes very, very frustrating. Proper heel work from Hogan, brother. Yeah, you're right, Brido. Hogan was all over that show. Like I said, he was the most featured WWE wrestler over the 2 nights, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, there we go. Chard, Raw was awful. Oh, I wouldn't say it was awful. I think it's hard to meet our expectations now. On the live stream I did for Raw, you know, there's not a lot of wrestlers out there where comebacks are going to be there, you know, returning superstars. Everyone who kind of, if WWE wants, is there. Everybody else is tied up with other, you know, AEW or TNA, whatever it is. So the only real things we're going to get were call-ups. And, you know, we did get a few of those, and we'll kind of come into that. But it's, yeah, WrestleMania this year, and TKO have come out and said it. TKO CEO actually come out and said it, and said we are in control of the creative of WWE. And yeah, we know it. We know it. Right, so let's just go through night 1. Let's start ranking them, and you guys can give me your thoughts and opinions on it as well. Austin Theory, Logan Paul, and ISHO Speed versus the Usos, LA Knight, in a 6-man tag team match. I thought it was okay opener. It's kind of fun, kind of got the crowd going a little bit, you know, with the Usos and LA Knight. You know, they are characters that the crowd are going to cheer and pop for, so that works. But yeah, again, I'm going to say it every time, it was a short match, nothing really meaty on the bones, and then we had a nice jump off the top rope onto the outside from ISHO Speed onto Logan Paul. I just gave this a 2 out of 5. Then we had Jacob Fatu versus Drew McIntyre, unsanctioned match. Again, I think we were expecting a little bit more brawling outside the ring, maybe them going around the arena. It wasn't really a blood match or anything like that. We weren't sure what we were going to get, because it was free on ESPN2, Apple, whatever it is in the States. And so we're like, how much are they going to give away on this kind of match? And ultimately it wasn't a lot. So this was just slightly better. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. It was fine. I think pretty much everyone knew Jacob's going to win this. Drew can take a loss, and it doesn't mean anything, because he's just such a good character that he can bounce back from anything. So not a problem. Let's just go to the chat. Adam, evening all. Saturday night felt like an old PLE, but Sunday night felt like a Mania. The main event was fantastic. Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's, night 1 didn't feel like WrestleMania. It didn't. At all. The unsanctioned match was good, but a little bit more tame than I expected. Yeah, and I think that was the worry when it was going to be on that first hour. Like, yeah, it's maybe going to be held back a little bit, and they seem to cut loose more on the weekly shows. You know, when they were brawling on SmackDown, that was awesome. They ended up coming off the scaffolding and fighting over cars and all this kind of stuff. I know you're not going to have as much arena interaction on WrestleMania, but it just felt like everything they'd done up to that point was better than the match that they actually delivered. We had 14's battle out for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. Obviously, the champions, Nia Jax and Lash Legend. And then we had Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, and the Bella Twins. But not quite the Bella Twins, because Nikki was reported injured. There was a lot of talk coming up to it, which we mentioned on our show, which was like, maybe that's why they haven't put Asuka and Io in, because they were going to put the Kabuki Warriors in instead of Nikki and Brie. But then they were waiting up until the last minute. And then we kind of got the news that Paige had joined WWE or signed with WWE just before WrestleMania started. And so I was presuming, oh, you know what? She's going to turn up on Raw. That's where it's going to be. So I was like, you know what? Maybe AJ retains the title at WrestleMania, goes to Monday Night Raw. Paige shows up, very much like she did with the Divas Championship, challenges AJ and wins it on her comeback. Which I would have booked it that way. If she could even done it with Becky, I think that would have been awesome. But she came out to replace Nikki Bella, and Paige and Nikki are your new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. I always thought the Bellas were going to win. That was my prediction. So yeah, just they replace. I'm really happy Paige is back. I think she thoroughly deserves it. I think she's great, and I look forward to seeing what she can do. The tag team match wasn't a good match. Bayley was fuming. I think she was struggling with that match in terms of how it was playing out. Again, it was just messy. It was a new stipulation. Well, I say new, but because it was a 4-way tag team match, it was a tornado talk. Well, it's kind of half a tornado because each person had one legal participant at a time. And that was kind of thrown on us at the night. We didn't expect that. So, yeah, I'm not sure how well that worked and how much advance notice they had that they might be able to work through that and how much they had to do on the fly. Jacob's joined the live. Jacob Fatu, I hope, has joined the live. Congratulations on stepping up to Roman and your match potentially at Backlash. Right, this. So yeah, I gave it a 3 out of 5, that match. Because of Paige. They got the extra half point for Paige. Seth Rollins versus Gunther. Really good match, just not long enough. Gunther is brilliant and Seth is great at what he does. But I predicted Bron Breakker would be coming back. I predicted he would cost Seth the match, and that's how it played out. Again, it felt like a very predictable card. I tried to mix up my predictions. I was like, oh, you know what, Theory, Logan Paul, maybe they'll go over, and ISHO Speed's kind of like he's been sitting back and he's not kind of working out, and then eventually he'll bust something out and he cause a problem, and the LA Knight and the Usos would end up fighting and stuff like that. But I forgot the old saying is the first night the opening match first night faces always win, and that I should have just gone with it. I should have known better. So Seth versus Gunther, I gave that a 3.5 out of 5. Women's Intercontinental Champion AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch. Again, it felt quite limp. I was mixed in the build up to this match. I felt that initially Becky, I don't like whiny Becky. It felt very pantomime, a lot of her build up to this show. But then when the last couple of weeks came in and it was a little bit more calculated, they had to sit down, interrupted Michael Cole's interview, and some of the packages, I thought, yeah, this is cool, and a little bit of build to this. But then when AJ Lee came out with the kids, I was like, okay, that's a big entrance for her, so it's possible that she could win, but yeah, she's going to make the kids cry, and it's not going to happen, and that's how it turned out. So I thought AJ might retain, but yeah, Becky Lynch ended up taking the title, and I switched my prediction more because of Paige, and how that might play out, where originally I thought it was going to be Becky to take it. Women's World Champion Stephanie Vaquer versus Liv Morgan. We knew this was going to be an interference match. We knew it wasn't going to be clean. Apparently, this match was supposed to be a little bit longer, but both Stephanie and Liv were banged up from the last couple of weeks, and so they didn't want to risk it by going too long, is the rumor. However, then Liv put on a big match on Raw against Sol Ruca, so I don't know how much that is true. You never know what's true these days. But yeah, it was what was expected. I expected Liv to go over, but again, just not enough time to really invest in the match. So again, for me, it was a 2.5 out of 5. Let's just head over to the chat over on YouTube. Women's tag was better than I expected. I thought Paige looked really good. Yep, agree, Adam. Yeah, totally. And Seth versus Gunther was the best match of the night for me. Gunther deserves a run with a strap soon. Yeah, Gunther's one of my favorite wrestlers right now. I think if I was to pick, I'd probably say Kevin Owens is like one of my faves at the moment. Obviously, he's out injured, but Gunther is great. He's so old school. He's a proper wrestler. And yeah, I think he will be due another run as champion soon. Absolutely. I can't imagine. I can't see a world where he won't start challenging Roman Reigns after Jacob Fatu for that title. Adam, I really just like the finish of this. Didn't need the interference, and I wanted a Fakir heel turn. Yeah, that was the thought process. Maybe that she might turn. I mentioned it on the Monday. So like after what happened with Brock, I was like, you know what? She should be a Paul Heyman woman. Put Paul Heyman with Stephanie Fakir. Have someone on the mic to be able to deliver for her, and she would be an excellent, excellent heel. That's how I'd book it. I think that's the way to go. Chard had AJ online today. I wish her well and suggested she would be a great librarian. Okay. Oh dear. Right, what else have we got? And then we had Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton for the undisputed WWE title. This was a match, and everybody said it. It had 20 years of history. It started with a really strong build, and then TKO got their grubby little mitts on this, inserted Pat McAfee, tried to do this breaking the fourth wall, talking about ticket prices and Attitude Era and all of this bullshit. And yeah, Pat as part of this match just ruined it. The match was okay between the two. Sam made a really good point on the show that Randy Orton doesn't have many very good matches, and maybe he's slightly overrated. You know, he's won the championship a lot of time. He's got a fantastic finisher. He's got an aura about him, great entrance. But how many matches do you talk about? How many times do you go back and say, "Oh, that Randy match" or "that win"? Not many, because it is very just standard with him. Very limited in terms of he does his moves. It's a crescendo match, you know. Takes the fits and then pulls out the power slam, the DDT from the rope, and it's very samey. So I was like, yeah, I kind of agree with that. Obviously, Cody got busted open, and then that punt at the end, and he's got, I think there's either a retina issue or like a broken eye socket, or there's something there. We saw on Raw that he's absolutely battered up that eye. It was really closed after the show, and yeah, so when he came out of Raw, I thought he might have to like drop the belt or something like that. I thought, oh, maybe he's gonna be out for a while, but Cody shows up. You know, he wouldn't do that if it was down to his choice, and he was probably said, look, can you continue? Do you think we're going to give it an opportunity for you to heal? And eyes repair fairly quickly, but I wondered whether he might have to come out with a mask like the old Cody. Have the mask on when he's wrestling. Be a fun throwback. Adam, Heyman with Vakira would be magic. Great shout, thank you. That's what we do. That's why we do what we do. Pat was not needed in this at all. He served very little purpose, in my opinion. This is Adam again. The ending was very confusing. The finish was something you expect from an end of Raw episode. Exactly that. To have your champion win, and then he punts him, and then Randy standing tall at the end of it. That's not a WrestleMania finish, especially on a main event finish. I know that storylines don't just end at Mania and start at Mania. You know, they can be part of a progression, but it just seemed a really weird way to do it. It's like, oh, okay, we're just going to have this again, a Backlash then. Might not happen at Backlash because of Cody's eye. Maybe they'll have to stall it a little bit, but yeah. Chard, Randy against Bray. Yeah, that was a fine match. But see how much you have to dig? We're not reeling off a list of Randy matches, even though he's a 14-time champion. So, yeah, it's a thought. Maybe he is overrated. Maybe he is. Let me know in the chat. Is that a hot take? So night one for me, I think overall I probably would give it like a 3 out of 10. If we're still going on the 5-star, it'd be like a 1.5. It kind of happened. There's a couple of good spots. Seth and Gunther was pretty good, but that was a hard slog of 4 hours. It really was. But then we move on to night 2. And it opened with Obafemi. His entrance isn't as great in the daylight, is it? It was really disappointing for him. It's like, why don't you have a dark enclosed arena? But yeah, this match delivered. Anyone saying there's less than 5 minutes and bitching about it, I don't understand. One, reset your expectations. Night 1, you had a championship match, Liv and Steph go for 7 minutes. You had other matches go for 7, 8 minutes. Why did you think this was going to be like a 10, 15, 20-minute match? No idea. Even before the PLE and part of the predictions, I said this was going to be a 10-minute match maximum. I said it's either going to be a really quick squash, it could be over in 2-3 minutes, or it's going to be a little bit of to and fro really, really quick. So when I saw how quick the matches were the first night, I was like, you know what? Between 5 and 8 minutes maximum. And it was 5 minutes. And you know what? As I would have booked it, Brock, they were squaring up to each other, a lot of pushing to and fro, testing that level of power. Very similar to what Brock has done with other big guys. I'm trying to think who the other person that he kind of did this with. I think it was Goldberg. I think it was quite similar where they were kind of locking up and he pushed him down and was sort of like barking back at him and stuff like that. Very similar. And then he goes on the offensive, suplex over Femi and said, yes, this is how you should do it. This is brilliant. Suplex, F5. And it was no AEW no sell. Obafemi went down. He got up into one knee, kind of went down again, and then slowly got back up. The perfect sell. It's like, yeah, you took me down. I'm stunned, but you're not going to keep me down. And then he got up, went on the offensive, and came out with the win. It was just perfect. And luckily, I mean, the fear was that they were going to put Brock over, wasn't it? It was just like, it kept nagging at you getting closer because it's like Obafemi's kind of been on top throughout the last few weeks, and are they really going to do this? Are they going to screw over Oba and just like ruin him from the start? This could be a very WWE TKO thing to do, but they didn't. They delivered. Oba showed some great respect to Brock as he was leaving the ring. He kind of did a sort of like imitation of taking off that cowboy hat towards Brock, and it was fire. But then the unexpected. Just gonna go to the comments. Tribal Chief, thank you for acknowledge. I acknowledge you, my Tribal Chief. Thank you very much. Jard Brock was awesome. He really delivered. And Munoz, ¿cómo estás? I'm very well, thank you. It was a real unexpected. When he sat in the middle of the ring, kind of hovering the camera on him, I was like, this is unusual. You don't really, but it's like, okay, well, Brock doesn't normally get beat that hard, so yeah, maybe they are going to focus on and see what his reaction is. The gloves came off, and it was like, oh, and then he went for the boots, and it's like, okay, this is happening, and it appears he has retired. There is talk about how much of this was expected by WWE, because when Heyman came in, Brock threw up the X, which normally happens when someone's injured or something, but I think he was trying to say, this is real. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I am done. And so maybe it wasn't anticipated, and maybe that wasn't the plan, and he called it on the moment on the night. Maybe he told him just before he went out. Who knows how it went down, but I thought it played out beautifully. He showed real appreciation to the crowd. They did appreciate him, which was good because the crowd was shit. Oh my God, the Vegas crowd is so shit. Night 1, night 2, and Raw. Raw was the worst. The Raw was the worst crowd I've seen in a long time. But anyway, I divulged. They did show him his flowers, and Brock walked off into the sunset, as it would seem. So for me, that was a 4 out of 5 match. It was not this. It wasn't long. It didn't need to be. It delivered what it needed to. So thoroughly happy with that. Let's go over to the chat. Adam, I like this. But I thought it was a little predictable. Intrigued to see who Oba is put with next. Yeah, obviously he came out on Raw, looking suited and booted. Whatever that man wears, he pulls it off. He looks incredible. And he just basically came out and said, the ruler is here. I was kind of disappointed with that promo, considering Raw was like 3 hours. It's like you could have given him a little much more time. He delivered a really good promo on the post show after Mania, where he spoke about, coming in and dominating, and the fact that there is a new person in the title picture, and he talked about going after Roman Reigns, and he can cut a good promo. But on this show, just delivered that one line and that was it. It's like, oh, we want more. We want a little bit more from him. Brock has to go down as an all-time great, legendary career and deserves his flowers. Absolutely does, Adam. Yeah. You know, when you saw the video package of him, which I think showed on Monday, was it Monday Night Raw? They showed a video package of him. You forget how many good matches he's had and how many people he has put over, even though he has at times dominated the business. So I've got a lot of time for Brock Lesnar. I really like him, and you know, whenever he does an interview, he seems really insightful. He seems really grateful, down to earth, and appreciative. You know, he doesn't have. He has a certain arrogance of like who he is and what he means to the business and the world, but also on a human level, he seems like a nice guy. I know there's all the stuff that's going on with the Vince thing, but I think that's more about Vince and him saying stuff about and to on behalf of, rather than anything that Brock has said or expected. But we'll have to wait and see. Then we had the Intercontinental ladder match. Penta, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, Rusev, Javon Evans, and Rey Mysterio. What a great ladder match. It was very entertaining. Look, no, we obviously have seen better ladder matches, but I think the participants put on a really good show. It was fast paced. They managed to do a lot in the time that they were given. And I thought Penta looked really strong. That Mexican Destroyer on the ladder was a great spot. Dragon Lee was strong. JD McDonough took some hell of bumps. I think for me, he's like the new Dolph Ziggler. He really could take a bump. Rusev had his moments, showing the powerhouse, and he took that bump from Rey Mysterio on the outside of the ring through the ladder. Javon Evans, you know, he is bouncy as hell, and when he did that OG cutter off the top rope to Rusev off the ladder was brilliant. But that's all props to Rusev. Rusev just made himself available to Javon and absolutely smashed it. Dord, what is WWE? I don't know if you're trolling me, but it is World Wrestling Entertainment. We are here talking about wrestling, my friend. Let's go to Adam. The crowd is so dead. It was embarrassing. Did you watch the Hall of Fame? The atmosphere was horrendous. No, I didn't watch the Hall of Fame. I've seen the clips. But yeah, there's only so many hours I can make available to this weekend. But yeah, it was, yeah, they were pretty poor. Pretty poor. No, they weren't just pretty poor. They were pretty poor on night 1 and night 2. They were dreadful on Raw. Dreadful. So I give that Intercontinental ladder match a 4 out of 5. Dord, is it good? Is WWE good? That is a far more loaded question than you would have believed. WWE has been around for many, many years. I grew up on it. It is a passion of mine, and it is like the longest running soap opera. I'm fully invested in its characters. We have new characters. Characters retire, leave, pass away, but new ones come in. And it goes through peaks and troughs. It goes in cycles. So just come along for the ride. That's what I would say. You're going to have times where it frustrates the hell out of you, and times where you can just get behind someone and cheer the crap out of them. So, Adam, I love the ladder match. Everyone looking good and got something worth it. I thought Dragon Lee looked great. I struggled a bit with Javon. He's like a kid who eats all the Smarties. Yeah, he is. He is bouncy. Yeah, but he's young. It's his first WrestleMania. I think he'll grow. I think on Raw, I think he does need to work on his promos a little bit. On Raw, he seems to get a little bit stuck on his lines with Ethan Page, where Ethan Page was just so cool on the mic. So yeah, I think he just needs a little bit more time on the mic, but it will come. It will come. But I again, he's someone who could get stale quick if not dealt with correctly. I'd be conscious of putting him on the show every week because he will keep busting out very similar moves, and you don't want it to become the norm because then he can't escalate and move up and go further. Then we have let's talk about Finn Balor and Rey Mysterio. The Demon returned. It was cool. It was a decent match. They made it into a street fight, which kind of added to that extra layer of brutality. But yeah, it was fine. I thought, and it was good for Finn to go over. I think it was the right thing to do. We didn't want to see the Demon get beat again. So, solid match for me. Yeah, it was a 3 out of 5. Not really much else to say about that. United States Championship, Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams. The match that nobody really wanted. Nobody wanted Sami Zayn as US champion. Would have much rather have had Carmelo Hayes there, or even a triple threat would have been better. I thought Sami was going to retain. I thought that he was going to go full heel and kind of embrace that. But he didn't, and Trick came out on top. But props to Trick. He cleaned that ramp all the way down like he had tissue paper stuck to the bottom of his shoe. And it was kind of a weird entrance if I think about it. I thought it is very similar to a SmackDown one where he's kind of on the turn thing. So I thought something a little bit bigger, but hey. So I gave that a 2.5 out of 5. It was fine. Women's World Championship, Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley. This was better than I expected. I thought Jade was pretty cool in the ring. I thought she did quite well. Better than I've seen her in a while. Rhea is just fantastic. We knew there was going to be interference. We knew Michin was going to be there, Elise and B-Fab. We knew Io Sky was going to come out and save her. So the only question was, could Io come out and cost Rhea? Either accidentally or do a little heel turn. But no, she didn't. She helped her. And I really liked the reversal that Rhea did to get back into the Riptide for the final move. That was smooth. And yeah, so Rhea Ripley is your new women's WWE champion. Solid match. 3 out of 5. And then the main event, CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. The OTC coming out to his original OTC music. Punk coming out to his original New Japan theme. Before the new take on, he comes out to no music, hits the ground and goes, it's clobbering time. Then his music hits. I thought that might have been a WrestleMania entrance, but it was the same on Raw. Can't say I'm a fan of that. It feels weird. But look, this, for me, was one of the best WrestleMania main events we've had in years. I think it's a top 10 WrestleMania main event contender. I think these two were brilliant in the ring together because they told the story. They told the story throughout the match. They berated each other. They goaded each other. It wasn't just two guys just putting on moves, which you can get sometimes. They told the story. They wrestled a story, and that's what can make a great match. You can have brilliant matches like a ladder match with loads of spots, but this was about delivering the story, and for me, they delivered a fantastic match. It saved WrestleMania, to be honest. I enjoyed night one, but that just capped it off. So good. For me, that was a 5 out of 5 match. They couldn't have done anything else that would have made me happier. So absolutely loved it. You forgot to mention the Hall of Famer, blimp-loving, teeth-collecting, cold Steve-loving Danhausen. My friend, if I could show you my notes, I have not forgot about Danhausen. He is the next person on my list to discuss. Let's talk about Danhausen, because we should have had more of Danhausen. We didn't get any Danhausen on night one. Danhausen should have been all over that show. Another thing that WrestleMania was missing was backstage segments, nothing linking one part of the show to the other. Yes, we could have our video packages, but you got John Cena there, the guy who can ad lib and be great on the mic and talk to any of the staff around the back and have conversations and move and drive it forward and keep the crowd entertained. But hey, it was night one, wasn't it? John Cena came out, announced the attendance, and Bianca Belair came out and she was pregnant. So congratulations to her. It's heartbreaking from a wrestling point of view in terms of, we're not going to be able to wrestle for at least another year. But very, very happy for her and her husband, Montez Ford. Are they married? Yeah, I think they're married. But no, the Danhausen section, I was unsure when the midgets, because they want to be called midgets, vertically challenged, however you want to do it. I don't want to get cancelled. But when Michael calls out the midgets, I was like, oh my God. And he's like, that's because that's what they want to be called. So they wanted to be called that we are calling them midgets. They came out. Danhausen was just brilliant. Why is my stream ended on TikTok? That's very strange. I'm going to go back. Okay, it's live access has been suspended. I don't know why that is, so I'll have to try and figure that out. Very, very frustrating. Right, so we'll just crack on. But Danhausen, yeah, his segment was a 5 out of 5. Apparently I've been blocked for hate speech. I have not. Oh my god, this is ridiculous. Hate speech. It's because I'm talking bad about WWE and they don't like it. And I've been cursed. I have. That's crazy. Yeah. I Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Ken, don't know what just happened. TikTok liar, but you died off there. Yeah, Anthony, I got kicked off, bro. They suspended me for hate speech because I was on a roll. I was talking really positive. Was it because I was talking about midgets? Is that why I got kicked off of TikTok? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that word triggered them. I don't know. Maybe they're thinking I'm talking about midgets and then talking about hate speech. So that's what they wanted to be called. That's what they wanted to be referred as. That's not a me thing. That's awful. But yeah, okay. So I'm here. I'm live. It is what it is. But Danhausen, 5 out of 5. Great segment. Apparently the pyrotechnic thing was a bit of an error. It did go off early, so it's surprised both John Cena and Danhausen. But I think it played out actually even better if it wasn't, because he normally just disappears without a trace. But at that moment, it's like, nope, and he scurried off under the ring. It couldn't go pitch black because of the arena. So no, for me, it was brilliant. Yeah. You went full blown Oompa Loompa. Yeah, TikTok shafted me, bro. I was, as soon as I start talking about Danhausen, I was cursed. But I was giving him his flowers. Right. Raw after Mania. So let's just cover this quickly, because it's going to be a short episode because it is just me. So I haven't got my normal colleagues to bounce things off at. So I appreciate you guys being here to give me your thoughts. Raw after Mania. Oba came out to declare your ruler has arrived. Again, I thought this was a little bit too short. I would have liked to see a little bit more from him at that point. Just deliver what he did on the post show, and put some like other people on notice, and just like, I'm coming after anybody and everybody, just run the one line, because I think he can do more than that. Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley and Io Sky had a match against the Kabuki Warriors. Great match, really good. You wonder again, this is probably because they weren't on Mania. Io and Asuka, Kairi Sane. They definitely deserve better. I think, the fact that Io was coming out of the WrestleMania champion last year after retaining in a triple threat, it's not even be on the card this year, is just awful. And yeah, really good match. CM Punk addressed the WWE Universe. So, I thought that he might be taking time off. I didn't expect him to necessarily be there. But he came out and basically said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to keep making myself available, waiting for the next opportunity to fall out of the sky. And fair promise, I thought it was a really good promo. I really dug it. Cody Rhodes came out and showed us how battered his eye was. It looked absolutely awful. And Cody and Punk had a little weird exchange, but ultimately, Punk is saying that, in the future, title opportunity, that'd be nice, please. And Cody's like, yeah, anytime. At which point I would have just said, get a ref in the ring and let's go and batter the man with his busted eye. But hey, we could have had a great CM Punk heel turn. But that will be a match for the future. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the main event for WrestleMania next year. I think that would play well to the Saudi crowd, and well to the Saudi investors and, the money that they want to put up. I can see that being a main event. And I would have... Somebody mentioned the other day about Punk, he's like 47 now. How much longer would he have to go? If he can last it and if he's up for it, I would go for 2 more years. I would have him win a main event at WrestleMania next year, so he actually wins a singles match at WrestleMania for the championship. I think that'd be great for him and his legacy. And then by the time the next WrestleMania comes around, Gunther could actually retire him, and that could be a great match, put his career on the line. So that's kind of how I would book it. To the chat, Anthony, Danhausen has been a breath of fresh air on the comedic stance. Absolutely he has. We've had R-Truth and we're really grateful for R-Truth over the years. But yeah, it was really great to have something that's just very, very different. Then let's talk about the call out for Ethan Page. That was a nice surprise. I did mention it actually at the start of the show. I was like, I'd potentially bring up Ethan Page and Ricky Saints. Could even bring them up as a tag team together to help drive that division, because it's really, really poor. But yeah, he came out, he had a match with Javon Evans, and he picked up a win after distraction from Rusev, who came out and stood tall at the end because he dominated and took out Penta. But yeah, Ethan Page, great talent, really great on the mic. He's going to fit in very, very nicely into that Intercontinental title picture. Ethan Page is a really good talent. I hope he gets a decent run on Raw. Put him in the IC picture, maybe a feud with Joe Hendry on the main roster. Yes, because Joe Hendry has also been mentioned about being called up to Raw, and he's going to be on Raw next week. So Hendry, he's come out, he finished with TNA, went to NXT, did his bit for a bit, and now he's being called up to the main roster. So that is going to happen. I think he's having a concert next week or something like that he's singing. But yeah, something which I spoke about on the live stream last night about the IC title is, we've spoken about on the podcast previously, where the main title on the show, World Heavyweight Champion or WWE Championship, that is the pinnacle championship of the show. There should only really ever be one, maybe two people in a position to vie for that title at any opportunity. That is the one where you keep driving to be that number one contender. And that those feuds can go on for 2 or 3 PLEs, until we get to get where we need to with the story. The IC title is the workhorse title. Now, the US Championship is also, but that is one that goes out to open challenges, and it's kind of put on available every week. IC title, I think you can have lots of stuff going on for it, and lots of a lot of people going against each other to build to be in a position to be the number one contender. Because you do have Penta, you got Rusev, you got JD McDonough, you got Ethan Page, Javon Evans. You can have some great feuds between these guys, all vying to get into that position to take on the IC champion, and that IC title should be put on the line every single month, even if it's not on a PLE, because you don't always have a room, but on a Raw, because we've seen it change hands on that as well. So I think having some more players in that IC title pictured area is a good thing. Not every feud has to be for a title. It can be vying for position to be next in line. So yeah, that's definitely the way that I go. So yeah, good stuff for Ethan Page. Looking forward to see what he has. Anthony, if you're pulling names out of the hat to get called up with matches, can you give me Saturday's lottery numbers? You've been banging with predictions for 3 days now. If I could do that, my friend, I would be going to work and I'd be doing this full time. Yeah, I think that some of it is quite obvious. Some of it if I'd actually gone with my head, I would have been 7 for 7 the first night and 6 for 6 the second night, if I'd actually gone with my head. But I allowed other external factors to come into it. I thought, yeah, I should speed, they're going to give him the win. But they kind of turned him and then had him have his spot anyway with the good guys. It's like, if you'd really thought about it, the good guys always go over on the first match of WrestleMania. They have to for the crowd. The one that turned me was AJ Lee. With Paige returning, I thought, they can really do something here. No, have her win and then have Paige beat her for the title the next day when we found out that she was going to be signing with WWE. I didn't expect it to be on the show. So, and then night 2, I think I got all of them except Sammy, because again, I thought that if you're going to put the title on him so close to WrestleMania, why would you then have him lose? It's not like you're protecting Carmelo, because you had him beat twice by Sami Zayn. So I thought, well, then you're doing that to keep the title on Sami to progress this feud even further. So So that whole thing didn't make any sense to me at all. And Roman, yeah, it was this time to put the belt back on him. And let's talk about that. So Roman Reigns basically has reunited the bloodline. We've got another version of the bloodline. It's welcome for me. I think that's going to be great. Brought the Usos in and said, I want you by my side, instead of being like this, we're getting taken down. He made reference to the podcast that Jey Uso was on. He said, we need to be like this. And he goes, I want you by my side as my equals. They're not just going to be answering to the tribal chief. We'll see how long that lasts. But no, I'm all for that. And then obviously we had Jacob Fatu come out and basically say, I don't want your championship. I need your championship. I need to do better for my family. I want the jet. I need the money. I need the bigger house to take care of my kids. So I think that's going to be a really good feud. The thought process was, yes, Jacob needs to win a Mania to progress to the next title opportunity. But I guess we probably thought it was going to be Cody because of the history there. But the fact that Randy Orton still took his beef, it's like, okay, they're going to still run with that, because they realize, we messed up with Pat. We need to give these guys some time just to do it by themselves now. So yeah, he's moved over to Raw and he's challenging his cousin. So I'm all for that. But obviously Roman's given him an opportunity to have a think about it. It's like, do you think this is right? Because, I will smash you if this is, you might beat me, You're probably not. He won't beat him. Oh my God, can you imagine? No, he's not going to beat him. He's not going to beat him. But also Sol Ruka, again, someone else has said that's the person you call out from NXT on Raw. So I don't know. I hope she's being called up full time, because I noticed that she's on NXT tonight in a last women's standing match. And obviously that was kind of played out in this show with her opponent attacking her. But she looked great in the ring. She flustered Liv, because Liv started talking about getting her to WrestleMania or something. It's like, hold on, are you trying to set up next year's WrestleMania with Sol Ruka? This is very strange. Slip of the tongue there. So maybe she was a bit hit around the head from her head bump against Roxanne. But I think it was a really entertaining match. Liv again looked strong. It shows how capable Liv is in the ring. So the fact that we got such a short match with Stephanie Vicaire was really surprising. But then Stephanie came out afterwards. Obviously, Liv picked up the win, and she came out and they went face to face. And so, okay, this feud's going to continue. So they might run this one back, Backlash as well, so that we can see it again and get more from them. Because I think they didn't get a chance to demonstrate that, and there's definitely more that can come from those two. What else have we got? And one for one with Ethan Page. Yup. Adam, I can't wait for Jacob versus Roman feud, and I'm glad that we've gone in the direction with Jake, as I was worried that they would run out of ideas with him after the feud with Drew. Yeah, that was the danger, right? Because again, he is a character that if you don't move quickly and you don't do the right things, you could get stale quite quickly, and people can turn off. So no, they had to pull the trigger. And so I'm glad they did so. That was good. What else did we have? Oh, Paul Heyman obviously came out and cut a promo about Brock Lesnar. He said, the guys in the trucks should be doing their job, and they should be moving him from the now to forever in the opening intro. So kind of almost reconfirming that he is gone. Some people had spoken about, the favor from Gunther. Is it going to be, he keeps badgering Paul Heyman to bring Brock out of retirement so we could have a match with him? And I was like, why would he do that? What benefit is there for Gunther for bringing him out to retire him? He's just been smashed by Obar. It's not exactly going to enhance his reputation to beat someone who has just been beaten at Mania and maybe he's on his way out. Didn't make any sense to me. So he said, they kind of alluded to the favor again on the show. So it's like they're not hiding from it. They're not saying it's not going to happen. But I'm wondering whether he's going to use Paul Heyman as a window to the championship at some point. So whether it involves a Braun Breaker or Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns, he's going to use him to manipulate himself into a position to get to that title. He's not a Paul Heyman guy. He's just going to be having that one favor. Maybe Tama Tonga will join Jacob. Yeah, obviously, because Tama Tonga, he's kind of split from Solo, so that could happen. And there's also, who's the other cousin? They thought they might show up last night. It's not Fatilla. There's the other cousin. I can't remember, the other brother. That's potentially could have signed with WWE. It might become part of Roman's new bloodline. I can't quite think of the name. Someone let me know in the chat. Then we had, and he was so passionate, Heyman, and even I think took like Logan Paul by surprise. Logan and Austin Theory tried to cut a promo, and again, talking about how they came out of WrestleMania as reigning, defending their titles. Like, your titles weren't on the line. What are you talking about? Doesn't matter. Street Profits showed up. Great. Some new tag teams on Raw, desperate for it. Really glad to see them back. Montez looked in great shape. Last week, I think it was, people were saying, oh my God, have you seen Montez? He's like really out of shape. He's put loads of weight. I don't know if he's trying to bulk up. Man looked trim and happy and healthy. Man's having a baby. He's in a good place. He looked cracking. So, really good to see them on the show. Tag team, it really needs some development. And so hopefully they'll give it some nice focus this year. Obviously they took out the Vision, so declaring they want to go for those titles. And Braun Breaker, and Seth Rollins. Braun seemed to get a really nasty cut to the back of the head. He was bleeding, but kind of added to that segment a little bit. He took out Seth, and again, it has to be a match that's going to be a Backlash. This, I think, could end up in a best of 3 situation between these two. I don't think you can do a one and done. Because you don't have Bronson Reed there as an additional person for Seth to go against. So I think this one needs to play out a little bit longer. He doesn't have the beef with Logan, really. He doesn't have the beef with Austin Theory because he wasn't part of it, really. So, yeah, I think this will go on for like maybe 3 matches. And I think that was about it. I think that's everything covered. So, yeah. Let's see if I can jump back on TikTok. No, they're not going to give me the live. Okay, fine. Apparently they banned me till the 24th. Jeez. Outrageous TikTok. Okay. Well, that's it. That's everything I'm going to talk about for WrestleMania 1 and WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2 and the Raw after Mania. It's been a hell of a long week. I just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody that's joined me over the live streams. We've had tens of thousands of people join and view it at some point, but some really key contributors, Adam and Anthony, thank you very much for joining. I really appreciate you. It's kept me going, it's really entertained me, and like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm trying to build a community here. It's not just about talking about wrestling. I want it to be a place where we can be passionate, we can be positive, support each other. So like I said, we wrestle through life, and sometimes you need somebody that you can chat to, or put something out there to get a feel of is other people going through that. And there's some really deep stuff shared over the weekend with families, parents, some struggles, and hopefully some people came out of the weekend feeling a little bit better, a little bit more supported. So that's what I'd love to be a part of. Anthony, I have a possible theory on the whole Tamatala Tonga with the whole face paint deal. I'm wondering if WWE contacted New Japan Wrestling about the gimmick, and if they're teasing a breakaway when the MFT split. Interesting. You know what? I'm going to pose that to Neil, because I think Neil is... he'll be able to give a little bit more of that. He's very good with his theories. And bringing the Gorillas of Destiny back. Okay, so see, now that I'm not too familiar with. I know a little bit about New Japan Wrestling, but Neil is much more versed in that. So if he was here, he'd be able to support that a lot more. Right, anything else you guys want to talk about before I wrap this show? Zilla Fatu, that's who I'm thinking of. Zilla Fatu, or Isaiah Fatu, so he was born. He's another one of the brothers. That's who I'm thinking of. Thank you for the show. I really enjoyed it week after week. It has escaped from me whilst my health isn't the greatest, and I'm a teacher. That brings is on its own stresses. Adam, respect for being a teacher. Kids these days are little shits, so I don't know what ages you educate, but I know what school. My younger brother is going to school over here. He moved over from Turkey, and he's going to school over here, and I've gone to that school a few times, and hearing some of the stuff that goes on there, I'm just like, geez. I've got friends who are teachers, and it's a very, very difficult world. It's not paid very well, so mad props to you for doing what you do, because it's a minefield. Secondary at Peru, secondary. Oof. Yeah, even more props to you. Even more props to you, Adam. Right. Okay, well, that's it. Thank you very much, guys, for joining. I appreciate it. If you haven't, make sure you hit that like and subscribe, hit that bell to get notified on our YouTube channel. If you are listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure you hit that follow. Give us a rating if you can. I'd love a 5-star review. It'll help us move up the algorithms. That'd be fantastic. And like I said, we are on TikTok when they unban me. And I'm going to try posting some more videos and stuff like that on there. But yeah, that's it. And the affiliate link. So if you like to buy any WWE merchandise, there'll be a QR code here. There's a link in the description. That will support the channel. So if you are thinking of buying anything from the WWE shop, use that link and you'll be supporting the show. And also, I will occasionally have some exclusive codes which you'll be able to use to get money off on the website as well. So keep an eye out for those. Right, that's it. So thank you very much, guys. And until next time, wrestling is awesome. Peace out.